Hi everybody, Golden Era Bookworm here, and today I bring you a recent interview with AAU Natural Mr. Universe, Gennaro Ferra. Gennaro is known on Instagram as Ferrafitness and comes from the old school of bodybuilding, when he competed during the tail end of the Golden Era in the late 1980s. Today we hear from Gennaro in regards to the old school way of bodybuilding and as well on the art of posing, which really is lacking in today's bodybuilding. Enjoy. There we go. All right, Gennaro. Again, there you go, man. Thanks so much for agreeing for the interview. And yeah, I mean, I'm always a huge fan of classic bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Golden era bodybuilding, and especially when it comes from homegrown soil like you, because I'm, as you probably know, I'm Aussie.
I can hear that.
So yeah, I mean, I've seen your videos from Wayne Galash's GMV bodybuilding. You've got that old classic physique, and what's so amazing about you is that you've got such an expansive bodybuilding competitive history that it's rare to see. Like, I mean, the only guys that I can see that continue doing that, you know, lately, Tony Pearson, who you beat recently in the AAU 2020 Natural, wasn't Natural Mr. Universe? And I mean, your competitive history goes all the way back to the late Golden Era in the late 80s. Is that correct?
Yeah, I started competing in '86 as a teenager. And I weighed, I believe, 70 kilos, which is 154 pounds. I trained at Sammy Ioannidis' gym. I'm sure you've come across Sam on Instagram or Facebook. Yeah. He owned a gym in Thornbury, which is a northern suburb of Melbourne, called Better Body Fitness Centre.
Yeah, right.
And that's where a lot of guys, you know, teenage bodybuilding was huge back then.
Yeah, it was.
And, you know, you'd go into the gym and there'd be posters everywhere. Every other month there'd be shows to either go, you know, to attend or to compete in. So great training ground for learning about bodybuilding and learning how to train the old school way, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to ask you some. Obviously, I always ask some questions in regards to how it all started. I'd like to find out more about the origins of each bodybuilder, more or less like their blueprint and all that. So you grew up in Australia, in Melbourne?
Yeah, we moved. I actually was born in Naples, Italy, and then we moved to Australia in '68.
Right.
I was about 9 months old, April '68. And, you know, my old man was a chef, very reputable chef in Naples and then again in Melbourne. And that helped, obviously, you know, all that good wholesome Italian food.
Yeah.
In addition to him encouraging us to get involved in sports and calisthenics, whatever. Just you know, Melbourne's a very outdoorsy sort of sporty city. So even the schools were constantly drilling, you know, sports into us. We had inter-school sports, intra-school sports, played club level, Aussie rules football, cricket. So constantly working the body. And then, you know, I was just a skinny, short kid with good abs, right? That's all I had going.
Better nothing.
Had good abs, but, you know, I was intrigued by, obviously, by muscular men, right? Or muscular, slightly older than me, kind of teenagers. Like my older brother, Serge, like I said, the old man had a setup in the backyard where we'd do pull-ups and he had springs. So my older brother I got two older brothers. One's 5 years old or 6 years old. The other one's about 2 to 3. Because they were, you know, I was like, they were already hitting their late teens doing the pull-ups. I thought, wow, like, look at that. You know, my brother Serge had a natural V.
Nice.
And that's probably one of the first body parts that caught my eye on the male physique was the back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one thing I always wanted to develop was a great back.
Mm.
And yeah, you know, a couple of my mates left high school early, joined the gym. They were also into the weights, and you know, I wanted to finish my HSC first.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really get stuck into bodybuilding until I was about 17 and a half.
Right. Okay.
1985, I joined Better Body and, you know, learnt the ropes, mate, the hard way, not the easy way.
So you're saying that it was initially just your own family, your brothers, your dad that actually motivated you, that encouraged you to kind of get you into bodybuilding. There wasn't any other external factor that made you, you know, catch the iron bug, so to speak?
They got me. I had no idea about bodybuilding. The old man was into just physical fitness, right? And then my older brother, he wasn't even into body. He never stepped foot in the gym, to be honest. He liked the push-ups and the kung fu and the karate and the pull-ups. So my mate Dennis Marinos and Gus Abdallah, two of my, you know, still to this day very close mates, they started working out, and they were honestly genetically for mass, they were more sort of predisposed than I was, right? Because I was like this skinny ectomorph, and so it was those guys who left. Well, Gus didn't leave, but Dennis left school around year 9, and I was shocked. 6 months at working out, I thought this is amazing. Like once I finish high school, if I can achieve any minuscule of this, I'll be happy.
Mm-hmm.
So the old man joined me up at a gym called Californian Silhouette.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, in Reservoir, the town that I grew up with, the suburb I grew up with. I only really didn't get anything going there. I had no idea that bodybuilding required you to eat consistently. No idea. I thought it was just all about pumping iron.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, I was still playing soccer, still running around, eating one meal a day, thinking I was going to grow. Right? And the gym instructor said, look, you're ripped, but, you know, you haven't really progressed in a year. So Dennis told me about Sammy's gym.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he'd already won 3 junior Mr. Universes, IFBB, mentored by Reg Park.
Wow.
Yeah. Won a few Rocco Pedisano shows.
Yeah.
PBBI. And he said, look, there's this gym where the teenagers and the juniors are really competing and we could learn from them. So we went there, and that's where sort of I really fell in love with bodybuilding under sort of the tutelage of, you know, John DiStefano and all Gus and Dennis. You know, there would be a group of us that would hop in the car and then go work out together.
Yeah. That
doesn't exist today, you know.
Yeah. Old-fashioned camaraderie.
Yeah, we'd all just get in the car, you know, toot the horn, you come out. If you didn't, they'd wait a couple of minutes. If you weren't ready, they'd piss off and have to ride to the gym, you know.
Yeah.
So that's where we learned that. I mean, I learned, in fact, I actually learned from. I didn't have any. None of us had trainers. None of us had gurus. We just learned. We took pieces from everyone. You see, I learned a lot about training from a guy who's a sprinter, Chris Lewis. He started Olympic lifting at a local club in Reservoir, and he spoke about the importance of good form, high reps, a full range of movement, and moderate weight, not And so I said, all right, there's a place for that. But then JD was more heavy, fast, heavy and short rest between sets. So and then there was Mikey, who was another mate of mine, who was all about, again, good form and just really, getting a lot of blood in the muscle and a lot of variety in your workouts. So I think, and what a lot of bodybuilders miss today is being aware, being intelligent enough to make it your own.
Yeah.
I see a lot of copycats,
Mm-hmm.
and guys that, young guys that want to achieve, want to compete one day, or maybe want to achieve, a cover model look, but they're going about it the wrong way. They're doing exercises that aren't basic enough,
Yeah, I agree. So you said bodybuilding in your teenage years.
Yeah.
You got into it really seriously after your high school certificate. So you were what? Your late teens then, 18, 19 years of age?
No, so I was young at HSC. I'd finished my year 12 when I was 17.
Right.
17, yeah.
Okay.
So in 85, I was 17 and a half, going on 18 in June.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's when I got stuck into it. And then I competed around, July or August of 86.
Mm-hmm.
The year after, in it was called the Victorian Country Classic,
Mm-hmm.
UBBA, which is affiliated with the NABA. So I become part of the NABA. I went down the NABA route.
Mm-hmm.
I placed first in that. Then I qualified me for the Teenage Victoria. Placed first in the Teenage Victoria, and then got a bit of a shocker at the Teenage Australia in Adelaide. Placed fourth, and I jumped off the stage, changed, and went up to JD and said, I said to him, I think I've got first or second, right? And JD's like, nah, fourth or fifth, right? So that's how confident I was.
Yeah.
I knew these guys were bigger than me. They were big guys. And that's another thing. I always went into a show with the mindset that I was going to win, regardless of who was there, even as a teenager.
Yeah. I think that's very important.
Yeah.
So what was that? When was that competition? The Mr. Victoria?
Victoria was at Ringwood Convention Centre. That was like around July or August of 86.
86, right. So you would say that, I'm only trying to find out, how long would you have been training to put your mass, then to cut down, to actually start competing?
About a year and a half, honestly. I was only 154 pounds.
Right. So you were confident going in, so light?
Yeah, because I just, you know what it is, Carlos? I did my research. I went to shows. I observed other teens. I was looking at my level, right? I was like, all right, I want to compete, and I want to be competitive, and I want to win. And for what I was observing and the shows that I'd gone to, there was no YouTube then or anything like that. I thought to myself, I can do this, right? I'm now ready to be competitive, to be, to win, or to be top three at this stage of my development. And so that's why I decided to compete.
Yeah. What was your training like as a teenager?
Heavy, but again, very smart. Like I used to get complimented a lot because my mates actually, my other mate would go really heavy and the form was sloppy, but Chris actually used to say to me, "That's good. That's smart training, because you're doing a moderate weight, and you know, you're doing full range of movement. You're getting a lot of blood in the muscle, and that's what worked for me."
Mm-hmm.
That's not to say that I didn't. You know, I could, at one point I was benching 360, squatting 450, 480, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I needed to, I mean, not at that point, not at that age, but in order to put on mass, obviously I progressively got stronger and my weights got heavier.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it was very pretty much my routine was you know, like chest, back, buys Monday, shoulders, tries and legs Tuesday, Wednesday off, and repeat Thursday, Friday.
Right. Okay.
And weekend off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was a lot.
That's a good routine. I mean, I find that a lot of the old school bodybuilding routines really work. You typically hear of most Golden Era bodybuilders training only 4 or 5 days a week, and just hitting each body part twice a week to stimulate enough growth. Now you got the bro split where everybody just trains each body part once a week, and I'm not surprised why they don't get much stimulation. I find myself that the best growth is gained from training about 4 days a week.
Yeah. I agree, man. Yeah. I mean, now I'm training, like, because of the nature of my work, I'm really busy with clients. Sometimes I will, you know, lately I've been doing one body part a week. But if I, you know, when I decide to compete, or I start to really, you know, decide that I need to do 2 body parts a week.
Yeah.
Get that fullness in the muscle.
Yeah.
The separation, stay connected to the whole package.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Absolutely.
I don't feel that if I'm doing one a week.
So you mentioned that you didn't really think much about diet back then. What about when you started seriously bodybuilding? Did you stay with a whole natural diet, or were you into the whole high fat, high protein, or did you rely much on supplements? How was your diet when building and competing?
Relied very little on supplements. I learned quickly as soon as I started to train at Better Body, from JD in particular, and you know, Dennis and Gus and all the other mates that really started to blow up, that high calories, high carbs. I was on a very high carb diet, decent high protein diet, and not really concerned, not really focusing on the fats. I mean, fat was naturally occurring in the red meat that I was eating, in the whatever, the roast chickens that you know what I mean? I wasn't like doing avocado on the side, or cod liver oil or anything like that.
Okay.
So my goal, once I decided, once my body started to respond, and I wanted to accelerate the results, and this may have been a bit too much, but it worked for me. I averaged 1,000 calories a meal, eating 6 meals a day. So for a number of years, I was eating 6,000 calories a day.
Wow.
I grew tremendously.
I bet.
If I put on fat, yeah, I did. I got up to 230 pounds, which was just over 100 kilos, 103 kilos. And that worked for me because I didn't care about, you know, aesthetic. I mean, no, aesthetics, yeah, of course. I didn't care about, reword that, about having abs or looking, you know, having a chiseled jawline. You know, that didn't interest me. Once I decided I wanted to be a bodybuilder, I love the process of growth, right? Yeah. And I knew that in order to build the foundation, I needed to go through this process.
Absolutely.
And that was it. That was it. And that's a mistake a lot of people make. They start getting bulking up. I tell them, all right, what do you want to do? You want to cut or bulk? Bulk. all right, we've got to do this for a couple of years.
Exactly.
Right? At least. Right? I think I want to cut now because I'm getting too fat. But we've only been doing it for 2 months.
Exactly.
Come on, like.
Yeah, I know. I agree 100%. Like every book I've read and every trainer I've talked to back in the 80s when I started bodybuilding, just for fun, was back then it was all about getting as big as possible and not worrying about your abs, because you got to lay down that foundation, and that foundation can take anywhere between 3 to 5 years for a natural. And most people want to be Mr. This or Mr. That within 6 months, and it's just not going to happen. You got to go through the process of building the mass and then sculpting that physique down like an artist would a large stone.
Right.
So that mentality is not there, I think.
But also the mass, that's a good point. The mass has to stay for a while too. You can't just, all right, I got this big, now I'm going to cut. You're more likely to lose that quality muscle at a faster rate than if you were to hold on to the mass and keep building on that quality mass for a few more years.
Yeah, of course.
Right? You're going to stay, you're going to keep that mass, and you're able then to look at your physique and say, all right, what, as a bodybuilder, as an artist, all right, what do we need to address here, right? Lack some width. So I identified early on, even after I was packing on the size, that my back was lacking a lot of width. So I'd say, all right, I've got this strength, I've got the calories behind me, let's go. I was one arm rowing 125, 135 pound dumbbells, pull-ups, heavy pull downs, barbell bent over rows. Same with the calves. My calves were sticks, and I would look at Sam's, who had the best calves in the world at the time, along Tom Platt's, and I was like, all right, I want to impress this guy.
Absolutely.
So that was the joy. The joy was how do I figure out a way to, obviously make the whole body look beautiful, but work on these weaker areas, right? That's the challenge right there. That's the beauty about the passion behind bodybuilding. Not quick fixes.
Exactly.
That don't last,
Absolutely. Or that cause infections.
Exactly. So,
I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I agree. Like, I think that's one of the major processes, what you just mentioned, not just building the mass, but having, like, even after a few years of mass building, cutting down just to see what the work in progress looks like.
Exactly.
And then addressing, okay, I'm strong here, here, and here, but I'm weak here, here, and here. If I'm going to present this on a bodybuilding stage, I've got to fix these. So we're back on building now this, and then, I mean, that's the original old school way. But I think a lot's been gone.
I mean, Frank Zane was never going to be as thick as Mike Mensa, right?
No.
I was never going to be as wide as there's a guy who won the Australia before I did in '89. I was never going to be as wide as Enzo Giuffre, right? He probably doesn't remember my name, but I remember his.
Yeah.
But I thought, if I can't be as wide as him, my back is going to be thicker than his. So you got to figure out, all right, if I can't be, if genetically I'm never going to have this gift, I'm going to tap into the gift that I do have.
Exactly. What can you achieve?
Yeah. And Zane was a perfect example of that. What do I have that I can build on that none of the other guys do? Condition, posing, prowess.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, the small joints. Come on, you're born with that, but smart enough to keep sculpting it.
Absolutely. So you've talked about your progress What was your diet? What was your programs like though throughout your whole career? Have you always used the twice a week, hitting your body part twice a week, or have you experimented with other programs for shredding or for bulking up?
Yeah, pretty much pretty much I believe in the 2-day two body parts a week principle.
Yeah.
The only thing that's really changed, because I still love working out, I still get excited, being in the gym. The only thing that's changed is like how I execute some of the exercises, and because of the joints now, more partial reps, different types of positionings of the hands if I'm doing rows. For example, I like the dual pulley row that some of the gyms have, the dual pulleys. Taking an underhand grip instead of this up grip with the thumbs up. So the principles of the frequency have stayed the same. Training each body part twice a week, but the exercise themselves and the way I execute the exercises have changed.
Okay.
I do a lot of variety. I think that's why my clients stay with me too, because we're always mixing it up. I
think that's very important.
Yeah.
So looking at your competitive history now, you won at 22 years of age.
Yeah.
The 1989 NABA Mr. Australia.
That's right, yeah.
Open medium class. And you entered, from what I understand, the 1989 Mr. Universe. How did you place there?
I placed seventh.
Seventh
there, seventh in the, and then a week later we were in Alicante in Spain. I placed seventh there as well. Wayne had me in sixth at the Universe. Wayne was there. Right. I mean, honestly, I still felt like I was a teenager. You know what I mean? Like, still very young, physique. I mean, it was good for me to go to get the experience, but condition was a bit off. Was still hard, but I'm not going to make excuses, Carlos. But we were booked on the cheapest airline that stopped 5 times before we got to London, right? In addition to that, we were in Pakistan. One of the stops was Karachi.
Okay.
We had engine trouble. We had to stay there a whole bloody day, right? Then we had 4 days to like, lose the water, and it was very stressful.
Yeah. Now, was that the NABA Mr. Universe in '89?
Yeah, NABA Universe. I look good. I mean, I got a good shot with Claudio Mostacci, who placed second or third. I think he placed second behind Casey. Casey, right. I forget. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Right.
But shape-wise, it was only a matter of time before I blew these guys away, right? But condition-wise, maturity-wise, and size-wise, they had me.
Yeah,
but
fair enough.
Within a couple of years, it would have been lights out. I mean, that's just my opinion, right? But you have to have those opinions about yourself.
You said you also placed 7th in the Mr. World.
Yeah.
Was that the IFBB Mr. World?
No, that was, again, this was all NABA.
NABA, okay.
That's where I met Reg Park. Reg was in the backstage, and I'm spewing about this. We got some shots together. We got shots together, shaking his hand. And to this day, I know they're at home somewhere. I still can't find them. But if I do, I'll make sure you take a look.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. So now you're in New York as a personal trainer.
Yeah.
And since then, you've competed, I know, in the 2018, is that right, IFBB and you won the what is it, the North American Bodybuilding Championships?
Yeah, that was in not Tijuana, or was near San Diego, border San Diego. Is it Tijuana?
No idea. And you also won the 2020 AAU Natural Mr. Universe.
Yeah.
Before these competitions, and between the 80s and 2000s, did you compete at all, or did you not?
I did. So I did. I came here. I was in New York in '96, and I, believe it or not, I was at Gold's Gym training, and one of the trainers there, he liked the look of me. He goes, "You've got a look. We need to get you hooked up with my photographer who shoots for men's exercise for men." So that day, or the next day, in fact, we shot a leg routine in Gold's Gym.
Nice.
And all, the Paul Dillets, the Flex Wheelers, they were all there, real gentlemen they were. And we shot a routine that went to the publishers here in New York, who were also ran the magazines, Natural Bodybuilding, Men's Exercise, but they were in charge of the WNBF.
Right.
World Natural Bodybuilding Federation. So they said to me, look, I said, I'm on vacation. I've got to go to Italy. I'm on a 6-month, how Aussies go away. I was on vacation that year, and I said, look, I'm going to go. Once I finish my trip, I'll go back to Australia. I'll come back to live and compete. They sponsored me, basically.
Nice.
So I come back in '97. I did the Mr. International. I placed 4th. Tough competition. Again, I went in there thinking I was going to win. There was a guy, I still remember his name. His name was Brian McIsaac, really top guy from Boston. We had a good chuckle backstage, and we had a good laugh. And I said, I'm going to kick your ass. Yeah, I like that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Where people don't take, because at the end of the day, what you have is what you have. You can't change a thing, but you can have a good time.
Absolutely.
So he ended up placing 1st. I placed 4th, and then they had a world championship. I didn't even come in. I don't know why I didn't. I didn't even place top 10 in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I stormed out and went up to a few of the judges. I probably shouldn't have. I didn't throw chairs or anything, right? With what you see in some shows.
Yeah.
Throwing trophies. I never go that far. But I went up to the judges and I was like, anyway, moving on. I did about 2 weeks later, I did the Muscle Mania in Dondo Beach. I think I just placed out of the top. That was tough competition too. I think I placed 7th in that. And then after '97, I didn't compete again until 2014, the NPC Atlantic States. Yeah, placed 3rd in the over 40s.
Nice. Okay, so you took a break for about 10 years or so and then started 20 years. 20 years or so.
10 years. 97 to 2014, yeah.
17 years, yeah.
All right. I never thought I had it. Honestly, I had no idea. I thought, I'm too skinny for bodybuilding. Look at these monsters. But I thought, let me give it a shot. Let me see, because I for many, many years while I was married, I always stayed lean, but my goal was never to put on size. I wanted to, play soccer and, ride the bike. And then I thought, let me go back to how I used to train when I was, wanted to be a professional bodybuilder. So I did that, and my body just
blew up. Yeah.
Yeah, responded beautifully.
Yeah.
And that's when I thought,
you still got it.
Yeah, if I can't beat them on size, I'll beat them on conditioning, and that's the one thing. And that's the one thing that I think I have going for me now is, like, I never, go into a show not conditioned, you know.
Yeah, I've noticed. It's that and you're posing.
Yeah, and the posing, and that's the, for me, these are the two of the best things about bodybuilding, is like getting in really tight, ripped shape, and also knowing how to present that physique, you know.
Yeah, I find recent competitions, even in the most professional, the conditioning has gone down.
Oh
And
my
the
God.
pose, I mean, I think it's gone to a point where it's all about size,
Yeah.
and they forget the importance of displaying that properly and getting the delineation. It's so much about pumping the size of the muscle that and with some competitors you can't see the striations, you can't see the correct separation of the muscle, and worse, they don't know how to present it. So
So
you're right.
it's a loss. It's not a win-win. It's
Yeah.
like, all right, you got the size, but so what? I can see that size in any gym in New York or anywhere in the world. Let's see what else you got. You know?
Exactly. Otherwise, you look like everyone else.
Yeah, like show us some details, some tell us a story about your physique, you know?
Absolutely right.
Especially the back. I noticed a lot of these guys have really soft backs.
They're wide, they're thick, but there's no detail.
Yeah. That's what drew me to bodybuilding. When I used to see Serge, my brother, doing pull-ups and see all these muscles pop.
Exactly.
Beautiful skin. That's another thing. I wrote recent posts on Instagram. I don't see, you know, you're showing everything. It's not just about the muscles. It's what's wrapped around in those muscles. The skin needs to be tight, needs to be thin, and needs to be, you know, healthy looking, right?
Yes.
In order for the muscles to really pop.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, this kind of now leads to other questions like, so what's your opinion now about modern bodybuilding then? Seeing that you come from the tail end of the golden era, you've competed throughout the last decades, and now you're still competing in this modern time as a natural, having kept your size, not having been tempted by the synthetic anabolics. What's your opinion about what it's become since then?
I mean, I still watch these guys. Like I still get excited. Oh, with the Texas Pro, and you know, I still like, but I'm always looking, and I think it is changing, right? It is slightly improving. Remember, Arnold made that big speech about 5 years ago.
Yeah, about the bubble guts.
We don't see that as much, but it's still there. I honestly, I'm an old schooler, and you know, give me Bob Paris, you know, I could see those physiques all day, every day. The Lee Labradas, the Francis Benfatos.
There you go. Absolutely.
Yeah, Muhammad McAway, Lee Haney, Barry DeMay. This is bodybuilding. That's bodybuilding.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm not trying to put these guys down, but they need to, the judges and the competitors all need to go back to the drawing board and almost revamp what is the sport of bodybuilding, right? I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I don't really get excited. I get more like, I look thinking, yeah, I'm going to see a better physique, better lineup, but I don't see it. And again, I'm looking for like abs and thighs, right? When they say, oh, abs and thighs, I want to see like really defined, tight, sucked in abs. And I'm, you know, that to me is, you know, if you didn't have abs in the 80s in any big show in here or anywhere, you weren't even in the top 15.
Exactly.
Yet these guys are winning and they can't even make their abs pop.
Exactly.
So even when they're doing this hands-on, or this most muscular.
Mm-hmm.
All right, all this is coming together. This chest is usually not striated. I'm like, all right, no. But the abs, I'm waiting. Okay, when the abs going to pop? They never do.
Yeah.
So muscular is in fact that it's all the muscles together being like maximally contracted, right?
Mm.
So the abs need to be at their most defined and most ripped.
Yeah, well, they can't contract simply because their guts are so distended. So
Yeah, that's it. And they're eating so much food.
Yes, exactly.
And so, all right, yeah, I see a lot of these guys on Instagram 2, 3, 4 weeks out, super sliced, super vast. I don't know if it's the photoshopping but then on stage, it's not there, you know.
Yeah.
What I not impressed about is that I'm big on posing. Like for me, bodybuilding is also performance, is an art, and the way they just move from the front to the side to the back is just very like apathetic, you know.
Robotic.
I say to my clients, when I teach my clients how to pose, you have to be on, you know, you're on stage, you have to be present and high, and you know, the arms have to be constantly moving, right? They're like your oars, right? They have to be guiding your movements from front to side to back. You can't put your head down. Why are you putting your head down and slouching when you're being asked to move, being asked to do a quarter turn?
Mm.
And so I don't know if it's because everyone else is doing it. I feel like, all right, this is the norm now. We don't have to really try because 5 other guys are doing it. We'll just act in the same way, maybe.
Yeah, but then you don't stand out. That's the contradictory.
I had a guy, I said to him, you want to stand out. I said, I know for a fact a lot of these other competitors are going to be, you know, he did the OCB, Big Apple, is a natural organization.
Mm-hmm.
But I was actually really impressed with a lot of the other competitors because they had personality. They you know, they drew on their own character. All right. Some guys came on, you know, with a bit of a Al Beckles jiggle. You know how Al Beckles did that in that. Yeah. So it was like old school.
Yeah.
You know, everyone had their own style, and you don't see that anymore in mainstream bodybuilding. But natural bodybuilding, they applaud it. They encourage it. Be you, have fun, you know.
Yeah.
So
that's what's missing.
That's what I said to Sal. I said, you're 45, you know, you got a first, a third, and the fifth. Have fun, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, man. Anything else you want to say in the next few minutes, or are we good?
Well, I think you know, these sort of interviews and just what you're doing is great. Keeping bodybuilding alive, old school bodybuilding. I think we're both doing great things, you know. I even go up to young guys and say, encourage, and a lot of the young people, they're into classic bodybuilding. So I think the more we do, and other obviously you know, old school sort of social media outlets, the more they encourage. You got John Defendis there, you know, a lot of the old schoolers.
Yeah.
There's even John Torelli's classic bodybuilding, you know. The guys, the Frank Zanes, the John Torellis, the defense. We've got to keep really placing a lot of importance on that quality physique and the posing and really attaining a masterful package, you know.
You said it.
As opposed to all the other bullshit, and that's it.
You said it, man. I agree. Like, I mean, that's the only reason why I did it. I mean, I started off just out of the passion for it. You know, I noticed there was a lack of good information out there, and I just started opening the mags and reading.
There you go, and observing too.
Yeah.
Even sometimes working in with someone or picking their brain. Sometimes we're even working in with someone, observe, and then they push you. But at the end of the day, my mate, I was on the phone with Gus. He said it well. He goes, it's all about just being a better you. That's it, you know?
I agree.
Yeah.
All right, Gennaro.
All right, Carlos.
It's been a great chat, man. And
yeah, I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. We might have to do this again in the future because it was a great conversation. I think a lot of people need to hear what you had to say. I think it's very important, like you said. A lot of old school bodybuilders had these lessons born out of necessity. I think these lessons came because now there's such a plethora of information that most people nowadays, especially young kids, don't know what to listen to. They get crowded with information. And I think there's a lot of creativity missing. And that creativeness comes from a necessity of and a drive of not having that information. You mentioned, just like I did, we only had mags at best coming once a month. Yeah. And just the person at the gym to talk to. No internet, no YouTube, no nothing. And I think that back then, a lot of us had that creativity to think for ourselves, develop ourselves, develop ourselves with our own characters. And that used to shine out. That's completely missing nowadays. And that's why I enjoy having these interviews.
Exactly, mate. We used to, after each workout session, we'd go in Sammy's, change rooms. Everyone would take off their pants and take off their top, start posing.
Yeah, that's it.
Because that's muscle mind connection right there.
Yeah.
Like, all right, and there'd be 10 guys and
critiquing.
This one, JD, you need more of this. You need more of this. We learn from each other.
Yeah.
And the guys these days, they got. I mean, some of these guys, and I've coached some of these pros. Magnificent physiques, but they don't believe it. They don't believe it, and they can't present it. Why? Because they're not practicing in the mirror. They're not. You know what I mean? They're not visual.
They're not aware.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I used to, when I'd work out and I had a show coming up, I would start to get excited and I'd start to visualize myself on stage with the other guys.
Yeah.
Then it makes it easy, right? When showtime came, I was like,
all out.
I'm more than ready now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think these conversations are great. So we should definitely do it again in the future.
All right, Carlos.
All right, man.
Thanks for having me on, mate.
No worries. And wishing you a great Sunday. Sunday? Yeah. All right. We'll talk again. I guess we'll chat again soon. So, yeah.
All right. Sounds good, mate.
Have a good one. All right.
Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao.
So I do hope you have enjoyed this interview with Gennaro Ferra from Ferrafitness. If you have enjoyed the video, please give the video a like and subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and please leave me your comments. Once again, you can find Gennaro on Ferrafitness on Instagram for personal training and other consultations. That's it from me. This is the Golden Era Bookworm saying bye for now. Now, if you're interested in learning more about Vince Gironda's approach to bodybuilding, his principles, and all these tips of wisdom that he has, I mean, there's so much stuff that probably hasn't been proven by science, and it will take science to prove or disprove Vince. But to be honest, these 3 books, I believe, which I call the Classic Physique Bundle, are the best books that Vince ever came out with. And they, of course, are the Wild Physique, the Master Series, and the Pro Series. Have a look at it this way. The Wild Physique, I believe, is like the ABCs
of Vince Gironda's principles to bodybuilding. He teaches you the exercises and his principles. But how do you put them together? Well, the Master Series is a 14-month program of using all of these principles, all of the diets that Vince came out with, all of the exercises. And believe me, it's a brilliant, brilliant program. Many people have used it. I know personally a lot of bodybuilders that have actually used it and made fantastic results with it. And of course, the Pro Series was a book that he came out with later on, specially targeted for getting into competition. It's just these three books, as I call it, the Classic Physique Bundle, Vince's best work, and available, of course, at www.goldenerabookworm.com. Now, the Pro Series of Bodybuilding, which was targeted for professional bodybuilders, contains 6 programs, each of which go for 2 months each. So it's a whole year, again, in preparation for competition. Need a bodybuilding poster for your gym or office? Then check out Ironman Magazine archive.smugmug.com for the highest quality posters on the planet. Scroll through the galleries of all the legends, including greats such as Arnold, Frank Zane, Sergio Oliva, Serge Nubret, Tom Platz, and Larry Scott, and much, much more, and select your poster now. To support your favorite YouTube channel, please visit teespring.com/stores/Golden Era Bookworm for merchandise, including t-shirts, hoodies, face masks, phone cases, and much, much more. Once again, at teespring.com/stores/Golden Era Bookworm. Become a patron at www.patreon.com/Golden Era Bookworm for hard to find books, scans of rare photos, and articles on the Golden Era of Bodybuilding. To take full advantage of my collaborations, use code GEB20 with NSPnutrition.com and VinceGironda.com, as well as code Bookworm12 at OSL.com for a discount at checkout.